This perp back with another video, and I just got done watching Terror on the Prairie. Now, this is a very controversial movie, if you could say that. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie, I should say. Mainly with Gina Carano and just everything with her and Disney and stuff like that. We're gonna get into that, and if you hear any background noise or anything like that, I apologize. There's a lot of people outside and stuff like that. I guess they're doing like fireworks of all days, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I was really anticipating on watching this movie for entertainment purposes, because if I didn't do YouTube, I would have never even watched this movie. I wouldn't even known about this movie. Um, Now, I do know that Daily Wire has been starting to put out movies. I forget the one that they put out last year. It was okay. It was pretty generic. And that seems to be a real theme with Daily Wire and just their production. We'll also talk about that. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the marketing of this movie. And I think that's like an important thing to talk about that I don't really see anybody talking about in their reviews. I know I'm probably 1 out of 10 people that have reviewed this movie, because I'm pretty sure Daily Wire is not going to release those numbers or show how well this movie performed. Because I could say, just based off the trailer and just the marketing alone, it's probably really low, and it's just a couple hundred people probably watch this movie. If you really subscribe for the Daily Wire just to watch this, man, I feel like you got finessed. You definitely got finessed. If you thought I was going to pay actual money to watch this, you're tripping. But going back to the marketing of this whole entire movie, and this is where I feel like is the biggest hindrance, because the biggest, you know, draw to this movie is Gina Carano, and they use her getting fired and her unemployment, or however you want to phrase it, as the marketing for this movie, which is a terrible idea, because one, this is a Western. So all the marketing that you have around this movie has nothing to do with the actual movie. Isn't that ironic? But if they would have just kept it to, like, if you want a dope, gritty, Western, this is where you need to click on. This is what you need. This is why you need the Daily Wire for this. And that's the biggest issue with just the Daily Wire and just this movie as a whole, because it becomes personal now. You know what I'm saying? You're using somebody else's, like, you know, misfortune, or you want whatever you want to call. It sucks. Nobody. It always sucks to get fired. So I'm not going to knock Gina for that. Even though that it was on her. That's just me. I'm not trying to get into that. If you feel like Disney did her wrong, it is what it is. That's your opinion. But for me, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame what happened to her. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really feel bad. But that aside, you know what I'm saying? Talking about this movie, this was a very generic Western. There's absolutely no music being played throughout this whole entire movie. This movie feels like it's shot with an iPhone or a Galaxy. Like, anybody could have gone out into, like, the middle of nowhere and just shot this type of movie. The story is very basic. There's these bandits out there. They used to be like Confederate soldiers and stuff like that, and they're just going around scalping people. And for the good majority of this movie, I would say the first like 20 to 30 minutes of this movie it's just a bore fest. And the pacing is just terrible. I understand they're trying to put you in that environment, but it's just like, damn, you could have just made the dialogue at least interesting. Gina Carano barely says anything, and then if she does, it's very to the book. You know what I'm saying? Her character really has no depth. She is able to figure things out, and it's essentially like a home invasion type of movie, but set in the West. And with that being said, it's just the action as well with the performances are very forgettable. The action is terrible in this movie. The editing is very janky, and you could really notice it, especially with these types of movies, like these B movies. You could definitely tell that it's just off. And I've seen way better B movies than this. Jesus, man. And it's just, you would have had something, you know what I'm saying? Like all that marketing and all that stuff saying like, you know, building the suspense or building up the anticipation of this movie. You could have had something if the movie was actually good. You know what I'm saying? If the movie was actually good, you could be like, okay, this is going to stick it to Disney. This is not going to phase Disney in any in any type of fashion. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the whole marketing was about. That was the whole grab, you know. And I feel bad for people that just, you know, fall for the bullshit that is the Daily Wire, because, you know, obviously they're going to use this to their advantage. You know, Gina getting canceled. Nobody would have been checking out this movie if Gina Carano was attached to this movie. And that's just facts. That's just facts. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't give a damn about this movie. You have a lot of people out there, you know, I'm going to say them by name, you know, the Geeks and Gamers crowd, you know what I'm saying? They got to see this movie early and stuff like that. But it's people like that and people that review like that, they don't keep the same energy when it comes to certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's only certain things that they're like that they will kind of not really nitpick, or they won't really go as hard, because you'll see certain reviewers and stuff like that, people that are like anti-Disney and stuff like that, they'll go out of their way to just trash the actor, just call them all types of names, saying they're terrible, they're trash, they're abysmal. But when it comes to a movie like this, and because Gina kind of aligns herself with those types of people, they're not going to, you know, give them the same energy. I just think that this movie was just terribly written, poorly paced, and there's just nothing really going for it. If you really want to watch a dope Western movie, go watch The Harder They Fall. That movie was incredible and needs to be talked about more. I'm also tired of the narrative of saying like Hollywood doesn't make good movies anymore, when clearly that's completely false. If you look at A24, they're really a real competition for these big mainstream movies, not shit from the Daily Wire, because the Daily Wire, they, for one, aren't making anything original. You know what I'm saying? Their budget is nowhere near close to like a Disney or even an A24. So, you know what I'm saying? They need to worry about, you know, taking baby steps first before they could take shots at big dogs. You know what I'm saying? I give them credit for trying to even attempting to just produce something outside of what they're normally used to producing. But it's just like your best movie isn't better than Disney's worst movie. You know what I'm saying? You just stop being worried about Disney and what they got going, and just worry about yourselves and worry about getting the right producers, getting the right writers for certain movies, getting the right, you know, team together, and creating a really dope original story. If you're going to come out here and say you're going to try to compete with Disney, where you're nowhere near that at all, you know what I'm saying, just based off the track record, and you know what I'm saying, I just feel like this movie is a real epic fail. But I could see some people liking this just because for me, it was a bore fest. I was damn near starting to finding myself falling asleep. You know what I'm saying? If you've seen this movie, let me know if you like this movie. What did you like about this movie? What didn't you like about this movie and whatnot? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you get around to watching this eventually. And until next time, I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.